If you've got a business and you've built it from scratch, it's your baby, you put so much time and energy into that, you could sometimes forget why you've actually started the business in the first place.
Why do you think that is? You kind of just assume that, if someone's
Yeah.
running a multi-million pound business.
They're so busy. They're so busy. And in fact, they forget that. They are so busy that they don't have the time to think about their finances. I always say you will regret that. And you always say, I wish I started planning 10 years before. What's your ideal plan? What age do you want to retire? How much money do you need? If we have that end figure in mind that you're going to need, then the business is just the vehicle really to make... Sorry, I have to start that bit again, Justin. Can you ask that question again?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. What was the question? Oh, do you find people, that they make mistakes because of the emotional aspect? Have you sort of come across that?
Oh, yeah. I had a good answer in my head. I just had a bit of a brain fog.
So why should someone have a financial planner?
I think the first one is...
Hello and welcome to the Better Business Podcast, where I talk to business owners about the highs and lows, the pitfalls and successes, the agony and ecstasy of running a business. My name's Justin Challoner, and with me today is Lauren Carlos from Lauren Carlos Financial Planning. And we're going to be finding out all about what she does and what she's learned from running her own business. So hi, Lauren, how are you and how has your week been?
Hi, Justin. Yeah, I'm good, thank you. I've had a pretty good week. Yeah, very busy, working with clients, networking, bit of a mix of everything really. But yeah, it's been really good.
Great stuff.
How's yours been?
Good. Yeah, similar. Yeah, quite varied. I've been doing lots of different bits and pieces. So yeah, but I'm glad it's nearly the weekend. So
Yeah,
looking
yeah,
forward to having some time off.
yeah.
So yeah, let's get started. Let's begin by finding out a bit about you. So
Okay,
Lauren, can you tell the audience about yourself, about your business, and what you do?
sure. So I'm a financial planner. I have been a financial planner for about 8 years. Um, my background is accounting. That's what I studied, accounting and finance. So I've always had a thing for numbers and problem solving and that kind of thing. Um, didn't want to go down the traditional accounting route because it was pretty not, well, I was going to say boring, but it's not boring. It's more, I wanted to work with people. I love
Yeah.
working with people, and my job definitely that's what it's about. But with also using my love for numbers and stuff like that. So I started out in someone's practice, so as a self-employed advisor, but in someone else's business. And then not long after that, I realized, I actually want to do this for myself. So I've been doing it for myself about 6 years. So that's been my journey so far. I'm based in Cardiff, well, I live in Bristol now, but I'm based in Cardiff. My main pool of clients is there. With the availability of Zoom and working digitally now, I can work with people I've got clients in Scotland, I've got clients in Exeter, I've got clients all over. So that's amazing. Yeah, I'm trying to think what else there is to say. In my business, it is just myself. I do have people that work for me on an outsourced basis as opposed to being employed at the moment. And that works really well. So yeah, most of my days are spent actually with clients, doing the planning, doing the meetings. And then I've got support in other areas to make sure that we can put their plans in place and give them a good service and advise them. So yeah, I think that's a bit about me and a bit about the business.
Yeah, great. So you mentioned about working with people, how you like
Yeah.
working with people. Is that sort of the main motivator for becoming a financial planner, or is there something else as part of that?
Um, it wasn't how I fell into it, I'll be honest. I think it's a hard industry to get into in terms of there's no graduate scheme for it that, like
Mm.
you'll have like accountant graduate schemes, corporate finance graduate schemes, graduate schemes everywhere for every profession really. But typically in the financial advisory world, people might take on they might go into it from a second career in after doing banking or second career doing anything else really. Once they've built up a network, they think, oh, I want to change, and then they get into it that way. I'm part of a network called St. James's Place that have an academy. So I actually did that as my entry point, which was amazing. And you do all your exams and learn that way. So the opportunity came around as sort of by chance, and it was like, you know, I think you'd be good at this. Someone said that to me, so I thought,
Mm.
okay, let's give it a go.
Yeah.
But I've come to realize that it is the perfect job for me because I like working with people. Um, you are making plans for people. There's a lot of regulatory bits to do. There's a lot of compliance, and that's the hardest part of the job, I would say. But the best part of the job, without a doubt, is, and I think it all the time, is just how I get to work with such varied personalities. Um, and I'm basically just talking to people about what do they want from life, which I love to hear from anyone. If I was on the street and I met a stranger in a coffee shop now and we got chatting, I'd love to just hear what they want from life and what their interests are. And I guess that's why it's a good job for me because everyone's different. All my clients are different, different motivations, different backstories, different money mindsets. And yeah, that's what keeps it varied and interesting. But that is definitely my favorite part of the job and what
So,
keeps me motivated to still do it for
yeah.
sure.
Yeah. Do
Yeah,
you think people have a misconception about financial planners?
100%, a hundred
Yeah.
percent. I'd say we've got, if I'm honest, financial advice has got a bit of a bad rep for
Mm.
some people. I meet a lot of people who will say, my parents had this experience, or I had this experience, and my friend had this experience. There's always a story where someone's had a bad experience. I think that comes from a time when it was less regulated. You didn't have to be as qualified to do it. Um, I mean, now it's gone so far the other way that, everyone is really protected in the financial advisory space. But people still hold on to those stories. Money is really emotive.
Mm.
So of course, if their parents had a bad experience, they're gonna hold on to that. Um, and it's if you're dealing with someone's life savings, there's a huge amount of trust in that, even to
Yes.
disclose that information to you and trust you with what their plans are for the future and open
It's a
up to you
very
about that.
private thing, isn't it?
It is, yeah,
Yeah.
it's totally private. And being British, well, most people I work with are British.
Mm.
We don't we don't like talking about money. We find
No.
it. So. I think that's another thing that comes into it. But yeah, financial advice has definitely got a bad rep or has in the past. But I do my best to, try and be a breath of fresh air really in the industry. I think it helps that I'm I came into the industry so much younger than the average person that would.
Yeah.
And actually there aren't that many female advisors either. Not that I'm saying that, male advisors of a certain age wouldn't
Mm.
be trusted, but I just think that when it comes to, okay, if I've had a bad experience, I need something new and something fresh. I think that it helps me that that's the case. And yeah, yeah, I do think that, yeah, you might want to cut
Is
that
it?
bit out, Justin. I don't
No,
know.
no, no. That's good. So, interesting that you said that it's obviously quite a male-dominated industry.
Yes,
Um,
still is, yeah.
so you know, how do you find that, and how did you navigate that when you started out? And did you get people, you know, uh, seeing, oh, this young woman, oh, what does she know? She's a young woman. Did
Yeah.
you experience any of that when you?
Experienced very little of that. Whether
Oh,
that
oh,
means
okay.
I was ignorant to it or but I don't care if I was because that naivety around what people might have been thinking if I was younger really did me favors because I was like, well, I think if you get in your head about that and you create a story about that in your mind, then inevitably you're going to come across it. But I was so just like oblivious to that being a thing that I
Mm,
I think the only time that has happened, and it was like it wasn't that long ago. It was about 6 years in. I'd say let's call it 2 years ago. And at this point, I haven't had any of these experiences really. So I was
mm,
like not expecting it at all. And someone I'd spoken to on the phone quite a lot. We met in person at this meeting. And the first thing the client said to me was, I don't actually work with this client now, but oh gosh, you're really young, aren't you? And I was like, I just said, I'm not as young as you think I am, let's start the meeting sort of thing. But I think you quickly get to realize that not a lot of people know a lot about finance. Someone
Mm.
could have like a multi-million pound business. I've got clients who turn over millions or, got really successful businesses, but they they don't know about finance, even the simplest of things like tax and things, because they're an expert at what they do and I'm an expert
Yeah.
at what I do. So I quickly realized that I'm always going to know more than the person in front of me. I don't know everything all the time, of course not, but I think if you keep that in mind, that also, helps. Being a woman in the industry, I think actually goes in my favor, as I said. I think women are really good listeners. I think they are great at giving advice. And as I said, it's been, I think people say, oh, that's different. That's
Mm.
different. I would
Mm.
quite like a female advisor. And weirdly, it's not, I don't work with more females than males either. It's not like, I mean, it could have gone down that route, but
Yeah.
yeah, but it hasn't. So yeah, luckily I've been naive to it. I'm sure there are times when people have thought, what do you know? But at the end of the day, you really only do want to work with people that value you and
Mm.
the service you offer. So if we haven't worked together for that reason, then I'm more than happy for that.
Yeah. Just move on. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, so it's interesting what you said about, business owners perhaps not being so great with money.
Yeah.
Um, have you, yeah, why do you think that is? Why you kind of just assume that, if someone's
Yeah.
running a multi-million pound business that they, oh yeah, that's be great with money. Why do you think that is? Why do you think that they
But
don't think of it in the same way?
they they're so busy. They're so
Mm.
busy. And in fact, I have to work with my business owners in a completely different way I do with my other clients in terms of like the way we communicate and booking meetings in and I might just get a phone call like, Lauren, can we do this? And then I'm like, okay, they have less time and they don't need much detail.
Mm.
They put all their trust in you to look after them, generally. So it's a different relationship altogether. I think that if you've got a business and you've built it from scratch, it's your baby. You put so much time and energy into that, you forget why you can sometimes forget why you've actually started the business in the first place.
Mm.
They might have goals in their head. If I want to reach this, I want to, this amount of turnover, this amount of number of staff. But I'll talk to them about why, like, because that's why I'm there to remind them of the why. You know, yes, having this amount of turnover is impressive, but what is that giving you to your personal life? That was the whole reason you started it. And I have to sometimes ask those questions. Most of the time, the answer will be, well, I want more time freedom. I want to be able to sell the business, which will allow me to do this. But I think along the way, people forget, they forget that.
Yeah.
So that's the one thing is they are so busy that they don't have the time to think about their finances. And number two, as I said, they're an expert at what they do. I'm an expert at what I do. Even though I did an accounting degree, I have an accountant. I could do my
Mm.
own books, but I'm not an expert at it because I don't do it day in, day out. So yeah, it's important that they put their trust in you, and almost like a hold their feet to the fire conversation and say, remember, this is what we were aiming for. These are the
Yeah.
steps you need to take to get there. Um, don't just keep going in your business to the point where you think, I want to leave now and sell it because I always say you will regret that, and you'll always say, I wish I started planning 10 years before, at least.
Mm.
So yeah,
Yeah, and I guess if you're a business owner, your personal finances are kind of separate to your
yeah,
to the business side of things, and
hmm.
yeah, if you're really busy, you're trying to keep your business going, that's probably where you're going to put all your energy. And so I can imagine your personal finances are going to be sort of bottom, quite low down. If you're
Yeah,
doing well, if the business is doing well, then you might think, oh, everything's fine. But yeah, you're not thinking
you
about your
forget
own
that you're totally
personal.
separate. Yeah, like I advise businesses as well. So protecting their business. Let's say, I don't know, a shareholder died or someone was to get ill.
Mm.
There are lots of things you can advise the business on, but it's almost a separate meeting from advising the owner of the business separately. If I'm sitting down in a meeting with the owner of the business, I think, in fact, that's probably something they expect. They expect us to talk about the business, which we do. But
Mm.
my main question to them is, so what's your plan? Like, the business is there. What's your ideal plan? What age do you
Yeah.
want to retire? And when you want to retire, how much money do you need? And what sort of things do you want to be doing? Do you want to be spending time with family? Do you want to be traveling? Do you want to start another business? What start at the end and work backwards. If we have that end figure in mind that you're going to need, then we can use the business as a vehicle to create that figure for you in the future. Yeah, but people see themselves as when I am the business, I created it. But actually, yeah, you've got to have that meeting about you. You've got to have
Mm.
that meeting about you and just about your goals. And the business is just the vehicle really to get you there.
Yeah. Um, so so why should someone have a financial planner, whether they're, whether they run their own business or whether, they're employed? What's the advantage of getting
Having a
some
financial
some help?
planner.
Yeah, yeah.
So I think the first thing is what I've alluded to throughout the call so far is um, having someone to talk through your goals with you. And then for life, it could be short term, medium term, long term goals. Um, but also, and sorry, I'm gonna have to start that bit again, Justin. Can you ask that question
Yeah,
again?
sure, yeah, yeah. What was the question? Oh, um, yeah. So why should someone engage with a financial planner? What's the advantage to talking to someone like yourself?
There are lots of benefits to advice. I think the first one is, we've all got goals, visions for the future in mind. They might be short term, medium term, long term goals, and finances will most likely always play a part in those. Um, so it's having that person that you can say, this is what I want to achieve, whether it's retirement, selling my business, I don't know, saving for something, and then getting that advice on how's the best way to get there, using what I've already got but also what else is out there and that's available to me to get me to that goal. Because it's a minefield, isn't it? It's a minefield.
Mm,
There are so many financial products out there, ISAs, pensions, investment bonds, premium bonds. And then if you are investing, there are a million different funds that you can invest in. And all of them have different tax implications. The UK make tax very complicated. It's a
mm,
complicated system. So it's okay, so here's my goal and what products, if you like, for want of a better word, can I use to help me get there? That is what a financial planner is going to help you with. I think I do a lot of like helping people with emotional decisions. It's an investing your money can be emotive.
mm,
Um, and especially when it's like, oh, I'm dying to get to retirement, I really don't like my job. I really want to get there. Every decision feels huge. Even like stepping into retirement from full-time work. I have so many clients that struggle with that and say, it's going to be weird. I don't know if I'm going to be bored. It's a big transition.
yeah,
A lot
yeah,
of people do phased retirement now because for that reason.
yeah,
But even that, it's sort of like the emotional hand-holding of like, it's just getting used to it. This is what you're going to have, and like supporting them through that process. Um, and then on the technical side, legislative changes, there are always changes, which might affect your planning. We've got some big ones coming up now next year with pensions coming into the estate for inheritance tax, for example. That'll change the way we advise, most likely. So anyone who's had a plan might need to review it at that point.
mm,
Um, and yeah, I guess just peace of mind that, because you can do a lot of things yourself online, especially with how technology is developed and the information that's out there. But people still want, people still seek advice, is what I'm finding. They want that trusted person they can give a call to. I've got a question, and knowing that you've got their best interests at heart, and you're always
mm,
gonna hold them accountable as well for their plans. If they've said something to you in one meeting, I want to get from A to B, then you can make sure you hold them accountable for that as time goes on. I could go
yeah,
on. There are so many benefits to advice. And I think I always say to clients, they'll ask me a similar question sometimes if I'm working with someone new, sort of, how does it work with you compared to if I did it myself? And I just say it depends on the service that you want. You can absolutely go and probably set this up yourself or do something you want yourself. But if you want that bespoke service with that expert advice on hand, then that's totally up to you. Some people don't feel they need it, some people feel they do. Um, Most people prefer to have that. So yeah.
Yeah. And as you've said, money is very emotional, isn't it? It's a very emotional subject. Do you find people, they make mistakes because of the emotional aspect? Have you sort of come across that?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
I can give you some examples. Before someone has come to me for advice, they've said, this is what happened to me last year. I invested X amount of money, the market's dropped, I pulled the money out, the market went back up.
Mm.
They were pulling out at the complete wrong time because they've had that wobble. They haven't been educated about how the markets work. In their mind, they're so panicked they think it's better to get out now than it get worse, which I understand, totally
Mm.
understand that. My if they'd have called me and we were working together at that point, I would have said, this is just part of the process. And I can show them years of the history of how this works.
Yeah.
And yeah, so it's like pulling out at the wrong time. I think making decisions on picking the wrong, as I said, financial products for their plan as well can be huge. Not starting early enough, not starting early enough. Like when someone's selling their business, for example, a lot of the time they need to get as much money as out of the business as they can into their personal name. Um, but there are limits on what you can take out. You know, it's something into pensions and things like that. It's something you need to do over a longer period of time. Um, I think if you there's something we discuss called advice alpha, and it's the percentage benefit to you from having advice in small increments that compound over your journey and over the time that you have a relationship with a financial advisor is huge.
Mm.
Um, just in the little day-to-day things that you know, the mistakes you could have made, the things that you didn't quite do. Yeah, I see it all the time. I see it all the time.
Yeah. And when you do work with people, when you work with your clients, um, it must be very satisfying when you kind of help them, sort all that stuff out and get it right for them. I mean,
Yeah.
how does that feel? That must be a good feeling.
Yeah, that's the best bit about the job, you know.
Mm.
As I said, like although people think, oh, you know, Lauren deals with money, that's her job. I'm sure a lot of my friends think and family think that as well.
Mm.
But I think I'm dealing with people's lives because I'm talking about their ideal retirement, which is huge for some people. That's a big milestone. What needs to look like. And oh my God, I've forgotten the question, Justin. We're gonna have to
That's
go back and do that one again.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I had a good answer in my head. I just had a bit of a brain fog.
That's all right. So I'm trying to phrase the question. So, yeah, in what you do, you are helping people, but it must feel really great when you've worked with a client and you've helped them, sort of through that process. Yeah, how does that feel?
That is 100% the best part about the job. When I first meet someone, they might be quite, well, we haven't got a relationship yet. So going from
Mm.
that first meeting when I don't know you at all to getting to the point where it's like, right, here's the plan. We've done all the planning, and you're about to, I don't know, say retirement was the goal, and we're about to
Mm.
start your retirement, and I've been able to support you up until that point. Um, Yeah, that's a huge, an amazing feeling, an amazing feeling, and you really do feel like you've added value. Like I think people think Lauren deals with money, you know.
Mm.
My friends and family would say that, but in my world, I'm dealing with people's lives. That's more what it feels like. I'm just helping them financially to have a good life, I guess. So yeah, the people are really grateful. You know,
Mm.
even though we're in business together, they're obviously a client of mine, but they are really grateful. I think it takes so much off their plate and gives them so much peace of mind that yeah, I feel good about doing that all the time, especially. when you're dealing with families, like generations. So inheritance tax planning involves quite often, sometimes three generations,
Yeah,
and you
yeah,
might meet
yeah.
all three generations, and you really feel like you're
Mm.
part of something bigger that's really important to them. And if your planning's great, beyond when I'm alive, that could be, having an impact for them
Yeah, yeah.
and things. So yeah, it is a really fulfilling job. Although on the outside, it might not seem to some people that it is. I find it really fulfilling for those reasons.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, no, I can imagine it's a great feeling to know that you've helped people in that way.
Mm. Mm.
And I suppose there are probably a lot of kind of, you know, aha moments where you say, well, if you do it like this, then, you don't have to pay a massive chunk of tax or something. Is that right?
Yeah.
Is it, do you get that a
Yeah,
lot
yeah,
as
yeah,
well?
yeah. Those are my favorites. Those are my
Mm,
favorites because like I always say to others, I can't control what the markets do, really. I have total faith in St. James's Place, who, you know, have an investment management team that manage all my clients' investments and do an amazing job at it.
yeah.
My job is to do the planning. I can't control the markets, but I can control how much tax you pay. I can control what route we go down. Um, so when I can save people tax, that's my favorite.
Mm,
And realistically, you will always save people tax if you're picking the right thing. I mean, with inheritance tax, you're talking a lot of money for
mm,
some families, um, and pensions as well. There's tax relief available on pensions, which I'm not going to go into the whole spiel about that now.
mm,
But my favorite example is if someone comes into a windfall, maybe close to retirement, for whatever reason, redundancy, inheritance, and they say, "What's the best thing for me to do with this?" Using pensions, especially when they're close to retirement, can and taking advantage of that tax relief can add an immediate 20% to their pot, if not more.
mm.
Um, and people are really, seeing their face go, really? I did not know that rule.
Yeah.
That's the good, that's where I add my value, and that's when I'm like, yeah, and they're like, oh wow, that is amazing. And what would they have done with it otherwise? They could have just spent it all, and I have how that decision then adds so much more to their pot later on is, yeah, it's huge.
Yeah, I imagine, yeah, a lot of people will just think, I'll just stick it in a savings account or something,
Hmm.
just squirrel it away in
Yeah,
just something sort of, like you say, just look online, I'll just put it in this account or whatever, and not quite
yeah,
realize the implications of that.
yeah, yeah. Especially because interest rates are higher than they have been in like, well, the last couple of years, since 2022, they've been higher, right? But before that, for 10 years, we had low interest rates, and everyone's like, oh, interest rates are rubbish. Now I'm finding clients are seeking out to keep their money in cash because the interest rates seem higher than it was before. But I think I mentioned it in our group this week. The interest rate is always used as a tool by the Bank of England to control inflation. So you're
Mm,
never gonna beat inflation with a good interest rate account.
yeah.
And I think that's the one thing I'd say people need to look out for at the moment because yeah, it may seem great you're getting 4% on an account, but if you're going to hold that money for 20 years, that is not the best thing to be doing with your money.
Mm,
So, and if you are using things like pensions, you might have tax relief available to you, and that's why you should always just get advice and have a chat with someone about it. Um, because yeah, people are saving in cash a lot more than they were. So yeah, which I understand. I think that they're also changing, obviously they're changing the ISA allowance and thing. The government have cottoned on to that. So they're changing the ISA allowance you can save in cash. And yeah, yeah.
okay. So let's talk about your business then. Let's just move on to kind of business stuff.
Okay.
So how long have you been running your business now? How many years?
So when I was in the practice, it was my own business in terms of I was doing the client acquisition. I was basically doing everything I do now, but I have my own brand now, I guess. Like Lauren Carlos
Yeah.
Financial Planning is a completely separate business and the marketing's different and I have
Mm,
more autonomy on to run it. So in my mind, I've been in business for 8 years, but officially on my own, if you want to do that, it's six. It's
right.
six, but
Right.
yeah, but I've been building for 8.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, what kind of lessons have you learnt during that time as a
So many
business
lessons.
owner? So many lessons. Yeah, yeah.
So many lessons. Wow, the first 3 years for me, 2 years to 3 years were really hard. I mean, I was 24, 25, 24, 25, without a network. I didn't even know what a network was.
Mm,
So I had to get clients from somewhere, and I was like, where am I going to get them? Most of my friends, not even employed or just traveling or whatever, and I'm here trying to, build my client base. It's not going to be with them. Where do I get them?
mm.
So I found networking with I had no other option, and luckily that worked out for me, and that's how I built my business. But there were times in those 2 to 3 years where I felt like I was throwing, what's the saying, mud at the wall, or nothing
Yeah,
was sticking.
yeah.
I or it just feels like that. You probably relate to that as well, Justin, when you're
Mm,
networking from this. It takes a while to build,
yeah.
and I was having conversations, but nothing was quite clicking. And at this point, in my mind, I'm like, I'm really qualified. I've gone from doing a degree to then doing all these exams as well. If I went down the employed route, I'd be on a pretty good salary, much more than I'm on now. And, and I remember having a conversation with my dad to say, oh, it's just doing my head in, like all my friends are earning more than me. And I feel like, when is this going to take off? And my dad said to me, well, like, if it's not working out, maybe you do need to get a salary job. I was like, that's not what you're supposed to say, Dad. I wind him up about that now. But I think my lesson was from all of that was keep going, just keep going. And also don't measure your success in those early stages from pound signs,
Mm,
even though that's hard and you need the money. We all need money, don't we? So measure your success from activity. And that's what I started to do. And that kept me accountable for creating more activity. So it might have been, I don't know, how many one-to-ones have you had this week with new people? How many networking events have you gone to? How many people have rang you out of the blue because someone passed on your number? And that kept me positive and kept me thinking, things are on the trajectory. Um, that was one of my biggest lessons, I think. Just to keep my head on my shoulders so I knew that
yeah,
something was happening. Yeah.
yeah. And did you sort of have a sort of a big break? Was there a moment when things suddenly, turned
There,
or
there was a year, yeah, I think it was year 3 or 4, end of year 3 into year 4, where I was like, things almost doubled in that year.
Mm,
And it was good timing because I was about to buy a house. So I needed that income to be there for that. And then to be honest, it has been exponential since then. So it was year 1 and 2, absolute graft.
yeah,
Year
yeah.
3, okay, I can see this happening now. But I'm still not working with my ideal client in year 3. I'm sort of, and I felt like my time was stretched. I was like working really long hours. I was really putting in the hours to do that. Whereas now I've got the year 4, then I started to put things in place that allowed me to have more time to focus on what's important. Um, and it was then that I felt like I was running a successful business. I guess year 3,
Mm,
yeah, okay, the money's coming in now, but I'm like a headless chicken. I'm doing
yeah.
Zooms, and this was COVID as well, so that was a bit of
Oh,
a,
okay.
um, what's the word? Um,
Was it a shock?
hiccup,
Was it? Oh, a
hiccup.
hiccup. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I decided to leave the practice during COVID, so then I had to switch over on my own. I had to get a new license with the FCA, which was delayed because of COVID.
Mm,
So I just had this period of time where I just had 3 months to sort of when I wasn't allowed to practice, where I just was got to think about what I wanted my business to be, and I was going to be on my own. So yeah, Justin, sorry, I'm gonna have to pause there. I need to plug my charger in. I'm really sorry.
yeah, no, that's okay.
How am I doing so far? Is it all
Doing
right?
great. Yeah, really good. Really good.
Feel like I go off on tangents. So hard not to.
No, no, it's good. It's good.
Okay. Plug that in. I didn't want it to die on us midway through.
Yeah.
Okay. It's quite nice to talk about yourself, though.
Yeah, yeah.
It's
It,
cathartic.
people don't we don't get to do it very often, do we? So
No,
yeah,
no.
yeah,
It's nice reflection time.
yeah. Okay, so we talked about lessons learned. I don't know if there's any other lessons, but uh,
Any other lessons? Oh gosh, there'd be loads.
I
I
mean,
mean, there's
what's kind of what's gone well, what's gone, have there been any times where it's just gone really bad and you thought, I mean, you sort of mentioned like, when you talked to your dad, you thought maybe this isn't the right thing, but did have you ever been at that point where you really thought about giving up completely?
no, I
No?
don't think so.
Mm,
I don't think I would have let myself give up. Um, because I knew the potential in this job if you stuck at it long enough on your own.
yeah,
Um, and to be honest, knowing what I know about myself now, I don't think I would have liked being employed.
right. Yeah.
Generally, I haven't been employed that much. If you think about how young I was when I started, I've been self-employed most of my adult life.
So you've got used to it. You got used to that sort of lifestyle, haven't you?
Yeah, I think it's not so much like being able to just do it, it's the autonomy over your decisions. And if you've got that
Yeah.
entrepreneurial mindset, I think I would have felt quite stifled in another business.
Mm,
So, and yeah, the potential for to grow it is uncapped, really. And I do well knowing that,
mm,
um, knowing that the more work I put in, the more I get out of it. That is a good feeling for me. So I thrive on that feeling.
yeah.
But it also means I'm not constantly like trying to get more out of it. Sometimes I'm just enjoying what I've built and looking
Mm,
after the clients I've got and enjoying the freedom because that's also important too.
yeah.
Um, any other lessons that I've learned? I mean, there's lessons day to day in terms of I'm always learning the technical side of this job. That never ever stops. Um, because there are cases, there are similar sort of advice you give all the time that you sort of know like the back of your hand, and then you'll have something quite unique come along, and you think, and I think that's why I like it as well. It keeps me on my toes, it keeps me stimulated, it challenges
Mm,
me. It's not just doing the mundane things, advising everybody the same thing. It stretches my brain to have to think outside the box and create a bespoke plan for somebody. So, yeah, I like that. You've got to have a challenge, haven't you? You've got to keep,
yeah.
yeah.
And
The
because
hardest part, sorry, go on.
well, I was gonna say because things like legislation are always changing, and yeah,
Yeah,
the sort of financial landscape is constantly shifting, isn't it? So you got to keep on top of that, haven't you, to do your job?
yeah. I
Yeah.
would say the hardest thing for me was client acquisition
Yep.
because of the reasons I mentioned. The best things that have gone well are client acquisition. On reflection, now I'm here, which is funny, isn't it? It's funny. That was the hardest part, but now that's good. Everything else is, yeah, yeah,
I think most business people can relate to that, can't they? Because I
yeah,
think that is one of the hardest thing is getting the clients in, getting the work in.
yeah,
And you mentioned networking, so tell me a
yeah.
little bit about that and how that's worked for you and why that's worked for you. Why do you think that?
Um, I again felt lucky to fall in a BNI group early on. Or as you know, I'm still there, so I've been there for a very, very, very long time. Most of the business's life. And I've done other groups in between as well. I still do other network outside of that. Why did it work for me? I just think you're with like-minded people, so you can learn from them. I very much want to work with business owners. So if the other people in the room are working with business owners, that's very helpful. I think I do well with people. I like people, so I think I'm a bit of a natural networker. I think
Mm,
what I hadn't realized, I said I was new to networking, but I pretty much do that in my personal life anyway.
mm,
Some people do just naturally like networking. And yeah, it really helped me. I think you don't realize with when you're in a group like BNI for quite a while, how everyone else's stories and like how they inspire you over
mm.
time, and the conversations you have week in, week out. Yeah, yeah, it's the support as well as the client acquisition bit that got me here as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's great. Good answer. Good answer. I'm trying to think of another question. Um, so what shall I ask next? So, um, what what would you say to someone who is is starting out their own, starting their own business, any new entrepreneurs, maybe they've just started or they're thinking of starting, what kind of things what would you say to them?
I would say it depends what business they're going into, I guess, doesn't it?
Mm,
Because I could give advice about the business that I'm in, but that looks completely different to most other businesses. I think it's important for someone starting out a business to know what's important to them. Like, what are your values? Like, do you value secure, like stability, variety, or a bit of both? But if you're someone who really, really values stability, you might find it really hard going self-employed. It might not be for you.
mm,
My dad actually went self-employed for a bit of time after he'd been working for one company for 30 years. And he has a huge network. He would have been able to do it, but it just didn't sit in with his values. I could tell that he'd been so used to stability for so long that it wasn't for him, sort of thing. So I'd always say think about that, but just keep going is the advice I
mm,
would give someone. Year one and two, don't be a bit like what I explained in terms of I was feeling like this, nothing is sticking. Like I don't feel like I'm getting anywhere. I'm not seeing the return that I thought I would get. But also, if you are at that point, get help as much as you can. Like invest in a mentor or a coach that might be able to, take a bird's eye view, look at your business, make a few changes, and that would help. As soon as you can, invest in that kind of help. I think we all need mentors all the time. I've got them around me. Um, and yeah, don't give up, really. Just
yeah.
don't give up. Yeah, but seek help, get support.
Is that what you would, if you could talk to younger Lauren when she started out, would you sort of say that to her? I mean, what other things might you say to your younger self?
Uh, I would just say it's going to be fine. You're going to be all right.
Yeah,
You're going to
yeah.
be fine and just keep going. That is literally all I would say is just keep going. That feeling that you've got that you think is going to work out
Hmm.
is your gut feeling and it
Just
is
lean
right.
into it.
Just lean into it. Keep doing the same things. Be consistent. You've got to be consistent. The days that you don't want to turn up to your networking event when it's 6 o'clock in the morning and it's
Hmm.
January and it's dark and it's raining, you've got to go,
Yeah.
you know? And you'll be sat in the car and you'll be thinking, oh God, you know, it's not all sunshines and roses. I think people see my life now and think, wow, you pretty much do what you want and you go on holiday when you want and you run your own diary. That must be really nice. And I'm like, yeah, but you haven't seen those mornings where I've just done that, got up at 6 a.m., gone networking when I could have lied in bed. So I think that's what I would say is just keep going, doing the right things, and you will get there and you will enjoy it as well. You
Yeah.
will love it. And you also your confidence in the job because until you come across all these different cases and examples and people that you need to help, you don't know that case until you've done it. So I think now I'm sort of so second nature to me. I'm very confident in my knowledge
Hmm.
that, you know, I think I would remind myself that it will get to that point as well because I'm quite hard on myself, or I was when I was younger anyway. Especially learning all this new stuff. I'd be like, why don't you know that? Why don't you know that?
Hmm.
In reality, you're like, it's the first time you've come across it. You've just started out.
Yeah.
So tell myself to go easy on myself as well, probably. Don't be so
Yeah.
hard on myself.
Yeah. And running a business can be quite stressful, can't it? It can be, it's quite a lot of pressure, and it's all on you, isn't it? It's all on your shoulders. If you're,
Mm.
a one-person business, what do you do to kind of to address that? How do you kind of deal with stress? How do you deal with the pressure?
Again, I think it varies business to business. I have really strict boundaries with my working hours.
Yeah.
So because I have one phone for work, one phone for personal, and clients do contact me on my personal phone. I think I learned very early on that I don't have to be accessible 24/7. It's not what you'd expect of an accountant or solicitor.
Mm.
So typically I'll only speak to people between the hours of 9 to 5. After that, my time is my own. unless it's something super urgent. But most things in my world can wait till the morning, you know?
Mm.
And I will always say, speak to you in the morning, just got your call. You know, I won't, I'll make sure the client is communicated with, but I won't have a phone call at 8 o'clock at night.
Mm.
I just, I, you know, I don't think it's not good for you as a business owner. You won't be able to give them your full attention the next day or the next client your full attention the next day. So I have really strict boundaries with took my time. Um, I obviously have people who help me in the business that I've built up to get to that point where I, outsource a lot of tasks. I lean on other financial advisors, actually. Got a lot of friends who are in the industry who, even though technically you think you're in competition with each other, if I've got a query, something I'm struggling with, or even just thinking, do you know what, this month hasn't been very good, it's been really tough, I'm feeling stressed, just sharing that with them helps me a lot. And yeah, taking breaks, I think you've got to take breaks. I personally feel like I need to have a break. And when I mean break, I just mean a change of scenery
Mm.
every 3 months, even if it's just a weekend in the UK, where I completely switch off, I relax and reset, and then I come back better for the next week for my clients. I have to do that for stress.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, and some people don't. Some people don't. They're quite happy to be in the same environment, but
Mm.
I new things and being in new places really recharges me. So I've learned that about myself. So I make sure I book those times in throughout the year and stick to them. Because I could quite easily just keep going and going and going and then think, God, why am I feeling a bit like unmotivated at the moment? And actually, it's like, well, you haven't actually had much time off for a
Yeah.
while. So and then I know, right, okay, I need to book something in.
I think I find that with being self-employed that because you don't have annual leave, in
Mm,
the same way that a salaried person does,
yeah.
um, you don't necessarily think, oh, I've got to take these days off because otherwise they're gonna be lost.
Mm,
It's entirely up to you when you take time off, isn't it?
yeah.
And I think if I don't book stuff in, then I just don't take time off. I just don't, it doesn't sort of occur
Yeah.
to me. So
Yeah.
um, I think that's a really important, isn't it? Having a bit of a break and, like you say,
Yeah.
switching off.
I also find
Um,
I would, let's say, end of quarter one, I had a holiday booked. It would give me something to work towards. It's like a little, like
like a
I'm always working
milestone.
on cases. There's always cases ongoing and people I'm working with. And I guess, yeah, that milestone, okay, if we can get cases 1 to 5 all wrapped up and everyone's sorted before that holiday, then great. Otherwise, it kind of can just roll on and roll. It
Yeah,
just helps me have my own little milestone there
yeah,
to look forward to. It does. It helps. It makes me work better before and after because
yeah,
of those gaps. Yeah.
yeah. Just knowing you've got that coming up is
Mm.
a yeah. I can see that's a good motivator. Yeah. Um. So you're doing very well. You're very successful now. Um. What are your sort of long-term plans? How do you see yourself in, 5 years' time, for example? Have you thought that far ahead?
Yeah, I do think that far ahead. I think I'm at the point now where that question is often asked of me because
Mm.
we have people in St James's Place who work with us and they're always interested like how even though it's completely up to me, they are interested how I see the business going. Um, Two things. So I would like a family in the next couple of years, and that I'm mindful of that. So you can expand by bringing new advisors in, and keep bringing clients in, but I almost have someone working with me, and we split the load. I'm not opposed to that, but it's if and when. I realize that with that comes a lot more responsibility. You become a manager, you become a trainer, you become responsible for someone else's career and fulfillment in their job. And I'm not quite sure if I'm ready for that, to be honest. So I've still got capacity to bring on clients. So I'm kind of just focusing on that for now.
Mm.
I have thought about employing in-house rather than outsourcing the admin and things that I do that I get help with. Again, I don't know if I need to. That there's a lot of developments in this in the financial advising world at the moment in terms of systems with the likes of AI and things that can make you more efficient and get buy you more time back, which means you can bring on more clients that I need to put in place pretty soon. Like I in the next couple of months, I'm going to be it's a big change, so I got to bite the bullet
Mm,
and really spend the time on it for putting it in.
mm,
Um, I'll be interested to see after that what my time looks like. That's my main goal for this year is be take advantage of those systems, get more efficient, and then see where I'm at. But yeah, 5 year goal, keep working with people. If I keep it a high level, keep working with people that I like working with. Um, my priority is servicing what I have in terms of my client bank, which is a lot of work in itself, rather than I've got big goals to take on another 50 clients. It's not really like that. I want to provide a good service to who I've got and
mm.
work with people who are really aligned with the service I offer now going forward. And yeah, on a personal note, then if possible, I would like a family in the next couple of years. So creating a life and business that will fit around that at some point is my goal, I guess.
Yeah,
Yeah,
great. Um, yeah, yeah, it sounds like you're definitely on track and you're just going for it. So it's really great to
hopefully.
hear. We're actually sort of coming to the end of our time,
Okay.
unfortunately. It's been really good chatting, but I'm going to do a new thing now.
Oh,
This is something I haven't done before, but I've got some quick fire questions.
oh God. I don't do well under quick fire, but here we go.
Okay, so I've asked AI to give me some questions I can ask you, and basically
Okay.
just a quick answer. Is that all right?
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Okay. So, first question: what's the best financial habit anyone can build?
Saving.
Okay. What is the biggest waste of money?
I'm not doing well at the quick fire thing, am I? Biggest waste of money.
So
I can't answer that quickly, Justin. I'm sorry.
that's okay. That's okay. Um, all right. What about property or pension?
Pension.
Um, what is the one finance app that everyone should use?
Um,
Or what app would you recommend?
I would get some sort of education app, an education app to educate you about finances. There are plenty of them out there, whether it's like, to learn about what products are out there, um, how, what funds are out there. Anything educational, I would say, is pretty good.
Yeah. Okay. Um, what does a rich life mean to you?
Time freedom. This is an easy one. Time
Time
freedom.
freedom. Good.
And you're like, okay.
Good answer.
And yeah, I'll just say time freedom.
Was there another answer to that?
Just just being able to do the things that I really value day to day, I think,
Yeah.
and having the time to do them.
Okay. What is the biggest money myth?
Your pension dies with you, is what I hear all
Ooh.
the time.
All
Yeah.
right. What does that mean? What explain that for me.
Okay, so prior to 2016, you would build your pension pot up. You would then, when you were ready to retire, you'd go to an insurance broker and ask for what's called an annuity, which you might have heard of. And what they're basically saying is, this is how much income we're going to give you for life with that lump sum. Um, you did have the option to leave it to a spouse if you wanted, but that would cost you more money. And then even then, they'd only get most likely 50%. And then if you wanted it inflation proofed, so it went up with inflation, that would also cost more money. So people saw it as I had this big lump sum, now I've got this income. If I die in 3 years, my wife's only going to get half of it. So it didn't feel like a very good deal, which I
Mm,
understand. Pension freedoms came in 2016, which completely changed the rules on that for money purchase pensions, which is like the ones that are invested, the ones that I help people with. Now, if, for example, Justin, you've got a pension and you die under the age of 75, you can leave that to your family. The whole pot is left to your family. They have the option to be paid it out in cash, or they can use it to live off and or just keep it there for now until later on.
mm.
And it's inheritance tax free under the age of 75. It's inheritance tax free regardless, but under the age of 75, it's also tax free. After the age of
Okay.
75, whoever takes it would have to pay their marginal rate of tax on it. But in a nutshell, it's basically just your pot now. And if your family need it, you know, on your death, then it's there for them and it's flexible. And even when on in your lifetime, you don't have to just pick an income and that's it for life. You could have £10,000 out of it today, not have anything out of it for 5 years, and then start taking an income after that. It's really, really flexible. So that's the biggest myth. Oh, they're not very good pensions, are they? They die with me. That's what I
Yeah.
hear a lot of.
Yeah. Yeah. But that's not
People
true.
don't understand those. It's not true, and it
It's
hasn't
not
been true
true.
for 10 years.
Oh, well, there we go.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
That,
still trying to override that myth.
yeah. 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 That was
Mm.
great. Good answer. Okay. Just a few more. So what do you think the one thing um every 25-year-old should know? Obviously in the financial, yeah.
Um, I think they should know how a pension works
Hmm.
because the difference between starting to pay attention to that at 25, even to 35, is huge. I'm not saying you need to whack loads into your pension at 25, but even the smallest
Just get
increments per
started.
month
Yeah.
is, I mean, I know 25-year-olds that opt out of pensions because they're like, oh, I'm too young to be doing that, like that,
Hmm.
you know. If they understood almost how that could compound and what they could have at the end of it, for money they're not even going to notice, they would almost always start earlier.
Yeah.
Um, so I think that people need to learn that for sure.
Yeah. I guess unfortunately when you're at that age, you just don't think that far ahead. You just think,
You
it's
you
just so
don't, you
far
don't.
away and
It feels so
yeah.
far away, and but I mean, there's this graph that I've got that I often show clients, and it shows if someone put £200 a month into a pension from age 20 to 60, what that would look like. But even if they put £400 in from 40 to 60, ages 40 to 60, so doubled it, you'd think, oh, okay, well, they just have the same amount. No, the person who started at 20 putting in less, even though they only ever put in 20, they didn't increase it. Sorry, even though they only put in £200 a month and didn't increase it, they ended up with more than the other person because of the benefits of compound interest and
Yeah,
investing
yeah.
and being in the market over that amount of time. So it's little things like that. It's not like, oh, I have to be whacking loads in there. You just have to be doing it for long enough
Yeah.
for it to, for you to end up with more at the end.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. And what would every 50-year-old, what should every 50-year-old know?
I think they should make an effort to understand what their position is in terms of retirement. So everyone has stuff, right? We've all hopefully got a state pension. We might have pension savings, a house. Um, do you know if you, based on what you want to spend when you get to retirement, whether you've got enough stuff to give you that life? A financial advisor would probably have to help you work out that,
Hmm.
um, because of inflation and all the various things you need to take into account. But yeah, don't just ignore it till you're a few years away. Work out what is my number? Have I got enough? And if I haven't, what are the easy steps I could take at the moment to improve that?
Yeah. Because I guess it's never too late, really, is it?
It's never
I
too
mean, if
late.
the day before your retirement, obviously that is a bit late, isn't it? But
Yeah.
um, the best time is now, isn't it, to start planning this
Absolutely.
stuff? Yeah.
It's never too late. I would always say that. But just don't bury your head in the sand. I think people are like, oh, I don't know what that pension means or looks like, but I think in your 50s, you should know what you have and know what that translates to in retirement. Like, because we all know what the pot's size might be. We know how much is in there. What income does that give you? It's a totally different question.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's what I would encourage people to look at in their 50s.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Couple more questions.
Sure. Getting
So,
better at the quick fire thing.
no, I
Although
mean,
I give like a detailed explanation for all of
yeah,
them.
yeah. I mean, all good answers. I mean, it's sort of a way of sparking conversation, but
Yeah.
yeah, no, that's all good. So, crypto, is it good? Is it bad?
I don't advise on crypto. It's not that I'm advising against crypto. I don't advise on it.
Yeah.
I can't
Does it
advise
does
on
it
it.
feature at all in any of your, the stuff that you do?
Conversations. Yeah, I've got clients that have taken an interest in crypto. My advice to them is, how much knowing that it's a bit of a gamble for a lot of people. Not many people that give it a go have much experience in that. I always discuss something called capacity for loss, or in a roundabout way. Don't ever put more into those investments than you can withstand to lose entirely.
Mm.
That's how I would view it. I'm not saying don't do it. I get it. It can
Yeah.
be a bit of fun. So I've got clients who manage their own investments that find it like it's a hobby to them.
Yeah.
But don't be putting your entire life savings or your pension
Mm.
provisions in crypto.
Yeah. Just
We don't know, and it's not been around long enough either for us to know enough about it and how it works. So, but I'm not against it. I just
yeah, yeah.
think you've got to really think about how much am I willing to lose. The type of planning that we do is for people is so much more long term, and it's diversified, and it's, you know, a balanced way of investing. So yeah, that's what I would say. How much are you willing to lose? You might be super successful, and that's amazing. But that's how I would view it when you invest in some money in crypto, if you are.
Yeah. I mean, they say, don't they, that you want to spread the risk with your investments, don't you? I don't know if that's
Yes.
still true, but rather than put all your money in one thing, you want to sort of spread it out over different sort of pots or products or whatever,
Yeah.
because yeah, it just
Diversify.
spreads the risk, doesn't it? Yeah, diversify.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And you
yeah,
could do that, by the way, with you could do that, by the way, with one. You could have one investment, but the portfolio you're in is super diversified and the
yeah.
risk is diluted. Or, as you said, you could have a lot of different products that give you that. You could have a bit of property. I've got a lot of clients who love property.
Mm,
Um, we're constantly talking about diversing away from property. I think that property feels super stable. It's bricks and mortar. It's illiquid to a degree, right? If Trump says something, the of the house isn't going to go down, you know, by
mm.
5%. But um, you are investing in one market if all your eggs are in one basket with property. So yeah, I'm always talking about diversification, and you can do that in lots of different ways.
Yeah. Great. Well, thank you, Lauren. That's
No worries.
that's
Thank
been
you.
it's been a really interesting, a really good conversation, and I really appreciate your time. So how can people watching this get in touch with you if they do want some help with financial advice?
Well, if you think works for you, Justin, I can give you, my website, email, contact number.
Yeah,
That's the main way that people get in touch with me.
yeah,
There's a contact form on the website, but equally that just comes through to my email. So I'm happy for people to drop me a line or give me a call if they have a question.
yeah. Great.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I'll put the link in the description, so if people want to get in touch, they can use that. It's been great talking to you, Lauren, and all the best. Have a great day.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me. Thank you.
If you enjoyed Lauren's insights on planning and building a business with a long-term vision, I recommend checking out my conversation with Mark Oakman, where we discuss how he went from having no clients to building a successful agency. You'll find a link in the description. And if you'd like to hear more real stories from entrepreneurs building and growing their business, please consider subscribing to the Better Business Podcast. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next episode.